Now, Turkey's economic crisis undoubtedly played a big role in this election outcome. Inflation there, as he was saying, has skyrocketed to 67%, at least according to official data. Unofficial estimates suggest it could actually be more than 100%. The Turkish lira has lost so much value, many Turks are putting what savings they have into things like gold, stocks or foreign currencies. That's despite the Turkish central bank hiking interest rates to a stunning 50%. So where do things go from here? Joining us now to talk about it, Selva Demiralp. She's Professor of Economics at Koç University in Istanbul. Professor Demiralp, fantastic to have you on the show. Do you see this as some kind of delayed reaction, perhaps, to the economic challenge? Because there will be those that cast their sort of minds back to May of 2023. Was it government giveaways that cushioned people and didn't see them sort of vote the way they chose to in the past few days?
Indeed, that's exactly how I view the election results and the defeat of AK Party, because the unsustainable policies that we had followed in the period before the general elections both caused the economic problems, but at the same time, they masked the economic problems through the minimum wage adjustments or the subsidies that were provided or the low interest rate environment that allowed the businesses to borrow at negative real interest rates. But once the unsustainable became unsustainable, and there was this inevitable U-turn to orthodox policies after the general elections, the bare reality of the economic crisis became easier to observe for the average voter. And at that point, what happened was, as you said, interest rates increased to 50%, from 8.5 to 50% in a matter of 10 months. And at the same time, the subsidies have stopped, and people started to feel the tightening impact and the pinch of the reality. And as a result, I think this vote was more of a protest of the people to note that they are not happy with the economic circumstances.
Yeah, and it was bad then, to your point, and he did promise to do something to tackle it, and it's become excruciating in the, 9 months since. He said it marks a turning point, Erdogan. He also said mistakes will be corrected. What's the likely course then that he takes? Does he throw his weight behind his current economics team? Because tough decisions have to be made, to your point. Already interest rates have spiked. They perhaps need to go even higher to enable the currency to be supported and for people to have confidence that the direction of the economy is going to improve, if not get worse in the short term.
Right. So if the election results were more in AK Party's favor, I would have less doubts about the sustainability of the existing policies, because the election results, the local election results 10 months down the road would be more of a confirmation and the support for the existing policies. But that's not the case. It's a major defeat for AK Party. So I still think that the government is going to pursue the turn to orthodox policies, simply because going back to the unorthodox policies would have disastrous consequences for the economy. I mean, I think AK Party saw that inevitable outcome, and that's why they had to turn to a traditional disinflation program. However, in order to calm down the angry voters, I think they might relax the intensity of the program. And at the moment, the central bank's goal is to lower the 67% official inflation down to 36%. But in order to do that, the growth rate has to go down to 1.5%. So I think a midway could be to let the growth rate go up a bit to, say, 3%. And as a result, inflation rate might go up to 50% or so. But like our research at Koç University is recent research is a household inflation expectations survey. And what we observe is that people have very little belief that 36% is going to be achieved by the end of the year. So the confidence in the program is at the moment rather weak, which is also affecting the capital inflows to the country. When we look at the foreign capital inflows, it's very weak compared to the extent of tightening. So one option might be to stick to the program, kind of like the IMF austerity program, but also if we are going to pay the price, why not go to the IMF? So given that Erdogan said that we are going to reconsider our mistakes, and in the past we know that he was quite hesitant towards IMF, I think that might become an option moving forward.
Yes, for lack of other options, quite frankly, given the political result and the pain in the country. Professor, fantastic to chat to you. Thank you so much for your wisdom. Great to have you on.